to justify those guys really being a first round pick over those other guys.
I think in the case of Hockenson, it's the total package. He's not as good of a blocker as Irv Smith. He might not be as good of a receiver as Noah Fant, but he's very well rounded. He can do it all. Noah Fant, the thing that turns me off about him is for being a 6'4" guy, he doesn't seem to be able to get a lot of those contested balls. And I think it's he's either going to be wide open to get them right, and I think his blocking's okay.
He reminds me.
He gets in the way.
He reminds me a lot of the kid that went 10 to the Lions, and now he's with the Colts. Ebron, Eric Ebron. Yeah, I mean, going into the process, he led all of NCAA in drops over the past 2 seasons. And yet they took him 10 overall, and it took him a while. He's better, but still, his highlight plays are all open, and yeah, I see the same kind of thing. Fant reminds me of that guy and then a Jimmy Graham, and I'm just not interested in that.
Yeah, and you compare Fant at 6'4", he's running a 4.5, which is better than you're getting out of Irv Smith or TJ Hockenson, but he has to get that wide open. I think you put a good linebacker to stick him, he's not going to get those contested catches. And Hockenson, even, I think he's the best tight end in the class. I don't want him at 12. I think that's way too early. I think he has a lot of talent, but I really wonder how this draft is going to shake out as far as tight ends, because you got the big three, you got a guy like Irv Smith, who's a little undersized, even though he's a great player. I like Irv Smith.
I love Irv Smith, actually. Out of all the tight ends, he's my favorite.
Well, and that's when I look at it. I think he runs the best routes. I don't think he's the best receiver, but his routes are really crisp. And being 6'2", he doesn't have the same catch radius, but he is a great blocker. So I like Irv Smith, but he's a guy I wouldn't want to take in the first round either.
No. I look at him as a possible trade back. If there's one of those scenarios where you either trade up in the second round if you feel like you really like him that much, or take him at 44, or even, double up and try to trade back from 44. And, one of those scenarios, I think his talent in the end, in 3 or 4 years, we might look back and look at him and go, yep, he should have been a first rounder. But I think what you see on tape, and like you were saying, Bruce, with some of the little holes in size and all that, I think right now at this point, you're reaching even if you take him at the bottom of the first round.
Yeah, I would love to see him top of the third. I just don't know if he has anything that's elite enough to warrant taking him as high as 44.
Okay.
Or maybe a late third or early fourth. I would love Isaac Nauta from Dortmund. Yeah, that's great value. And I think it's just going to be interesting to see how other teams value these tight ends. You got those big three who kind of separated themselves, that each have a different skill set that they bring. But when are they going to start going? Because we have seen tight ends creeping more into the first round in recent years. Yep. But I don't know if it's taking anyone to the Super Bowl.
Here. Super Bowl. That brings us to this. Super Bowl. We are in the process right now with the new head coach. People are expecting a Super Bowl. And then the subject was brought up. The comparison between this year's draft, because of Aaron Rodgers' age and his quote-unquote bashed in controversy, they're now talking the possibility the Packers should take a quarterback in the first round now. And I just think that is the most asinine take that we could have now, because
it's Packers smoke.
Yeah, it just infuriates me, because the two situations now in 05 are not anywhere close when it comes to comparing the quarterback situation and where they are in their career and even their play over the last 2 years. The only difference to me is Favre wasn't hurt, but his play, he had been throwing 20 interceptions almost, close to 20 interceptions for 3 or 4 straight years and talking about retiring. I just don't see the difference. Come on, be the voice of reason for us here, Bruce. Be the voice of reason.
Voice of reason. Let's see both sides of it. Here's the thing. I got into this discussion on Twitter with some people. 12 taking quarterback is ridiculous. I don't want them to take a quarterback at 30. I don't think it's a good idea. But I think that the scouting department knows more about these quarterbacks than I do. And I didn't want to take Aaron Rodgers in 2005. It was one of those things where I said, man, I want to get an immediate impact player, but if they take him, I got to trust that they know what they're doing and he's going to be good for the long term. In this case, it was. There are some differences. Favre had talked about retiring. Rodgers isn't doing that.
2 or 3 times.
He's getting hurt a lot. Right. But Rodgers is getting hurt a lot. When I look at quarterbacks, Rippon is the guy. Brett Rippon, like in the 5th round.
Yep.
He has the perfect backup quarterback. He's got a great release. He's very smart. He can make all the throws. He just doesn't have the size, scrambling ability, arm strength.
Are you out on Kizer then? Are you just done? Have we seen enough now with Kizer that we're just done with him now?
I'm there. I'm done with him.
Yeah, I'm not ready to cut him without somebody else to take over his spot, but if a guy like Brett Rippon can be had in the 5th round, I think he beats him out and move on.
Okay. Even with the new system that's not going to be so quarterback dependent, because I guess this might be a little hot take-ish, but as much as McCarthy and that staff got credit for being quarterback gurus, other than Aaron Rodgers, where's the guy that they groomed that was, good, even in Green Bay or anywhere else? And so I'm a little skeptical on being done with Kizer because the system clearly was built around Aaron Rodgers. And Rodgers, and even Rodgers at times we saw struggled in that system. So it's hard for me to evaluate quarterback play looking back at it now, knowing what I know, to just be out on a guy that was the 33rd overall pick and, could have been a 1st round pick had he come out earlier or later.
Agree, and that's the thing where when I look at Kizer, I have a lot of hope for the new offensive scheme, that a guy will be able to step in without worldly skills like Aaron Rodgers had and run it. If you look back at when Kizer came out, his strengths were a big arm. He can make all the throws. He has really good mobility. Whether he's a rusher or not, he has good mobility. The weakness that he had was being able to read the field and get through his progressions quicker. And I think if we're going to come into an offense with LaFleur, where it's about quicker reactions, that may not be playing to his strength. A guy like Brett Rippon does not have anywhere near the arm of a Kizer, but he's a lot smarter at getting through those reads and having a really quick release to get the ball out, which may be a better suited situation there.
So are there any other guys then that you are just, it doesn't matter position here, just give me your top 5 just favorite guys that, that would just crush you if another team drafts them within, let's say, 2 or 3 spots of the Packers in any round. You're just, your top 5 guys you just really want to be a Packer.
I don't like another round, Darnell Savage. He was a guy who was coming right off of the bowl games that said, man, that guy is good. And he was falling to the 4th and 5th round. Boards hadn't adjusted for him. The combine really made people move their boards. If I was surprised the Senior Bowl didn't push him up a little high, but he's one of the fastest guys out there. Great reaction, man coverage skills. Looking like he might come into the 2nd round now, but he's a guy that I really like. Other guys I like, I've been a big fan of Corey Ballentine, small school cornerback. Won the Cliff Harris Award for the best defender.
Is he a man or a zone guy, or could do a little both? Just for people that might not be familiar with him.
He's done a little of both. And when you watch him, the thing that really stuck out about him to me was he was also a kick returner. He was a track star, but he had 4 block kicks. And that's the kind of stuff that I think I put an article on PackersForTheWin.com a couple days ago about how we're not talking about the Packers' needs on special teams. The special teams have been garbage every single year in all aspects.
I did read that article.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, very well done. Honestly, no blowing smoke up your butt there or nothing. It was well put in something that I hadn't even thought about as much as I thought about. Our special teams have been bottom of the league almost exclusively under the Mike McCarthy era.
It's just basically ignored.
And people have let it slide. Well, we've seen teams make that almost a strength of their offense that you have to really account for in making that be the difference in winning and losing some of these close games. And has not, again, something else we look back at, Bruce and Dave, when we look back at it, that was kind of not, we didn't really give McCarthy enough crap about. And, we were looking sometimes with too many green and gold glasses when it came to the overall efficiency of all three phases of this football team.
Agree. So I think he's a guy that can fill in one of those core places. Jimmy Moreland's another guy, really undersized cornerback, but at the Senior Bowl, he's the only guy who could really guard Deebo Samuel. 5'10", 175, 18 interceptions, 63 pass breakups, and 6 block kicks. Those are the types of guys I like to see in the late rounds who can be a role player. They might not even break into nickelback, but they can come in dime situations, they can fill in for injuries, and they can give a big boost in special teams. Other guys I like, Ugo Abadi, the safety, is someone else I found early on in the process that I really like. He's built, if you look at him, he's built, really smart on the back end. He's fast enough as a safety, but he's 5'9". He's one of those guys who seems like he has the prototypical skill set for everything you want him to do, but he's small.
Right.
The guys I like to see in the end. And then the last one I'll mention is Terrell Hanks, inside linebacker. Yep. As I said before, I don't value the inside linebacker as high as a lot of people. Devin White's tackling form scares me. I don't know if Devin Bush is a fit at 12, and I don't know if he'll make it to 30. And when I look at the rest of the inside linebacker class, there's nothing I want until day 3.
You broke Dave's heart just now. He's a big linebacker guy. He likes Devin White, Devin Bush at 12 or 30. He's just praying. You just killed Dave again. This is 2 shows in a row. Dave's heart has gotten torn out. It was Kentucky and Benny Snell on Tuesday.
Oh, it's been torn out since the last episode. I'm sweeping it up off the web.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so Hanks is a guy I like to target on day 3. He showed up at Senior Bowl and just really turned some heads with how built he was. He was one of those guys who said safety, moved into linebacker, but I think he has the body to hold up in there. Flies around. He's shown the ability to hang with tight ends. His pursuit angles aren't great, but he's also another guy that can play special teams because he plays like he's out of his mind. I love the energy that he brings.
How do you feel about Khalil Hodge?
I think he's a solid option too. It really depends on where he goes. He's one of those.
I think in 4th and 5th.
I think he fits his value there. It's going to be interesting to see how the linebacker class falls as much as it does with the tight end class, because they're both classes where you have a handful of guys at the top end, and then you have this glut of people who can go anywhere between 2nd or 3rd if someone's reaching, or really anywhere on day 3, depending how other teams value each other.
Well, there's one guy I feel like that doesn't get enough credit, and he's going to go in the late 1st or early 2nd. Is Mac Wilson. I love Mac Wilson.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who looks like he could also go sideline to sideline. I think both of the Devons can do that. He's probably the next best bet to have the feet and mobility.
Yeah, and the coverage aspect too.
Yeah, he's got the coverage aspect, and then a really good run stopper. He's a guy who fills in the gap and takes people head on, more so than Devin White.
What about, now, this is a scenario we've come up, and it comes up with almost every guest we have on now with Dave and I, because the more Dave planted this watermelon seed, and the thing is growing so damn fast and spreading across my brain, it's starting to take over, that I'm even starting to consider the fact that I might consider them over even Brian Burns, who I love, which is crazy, right? It's Greedy Williams. And and here it is about Greedy Williams. The more negative stuff I hear about him makes me want the Packers to draft him, because he reminds me, that name keeps getting pushed up further in my name, of Darrelle Revis. Revis was not a great physically tackling corner, but he wasn't a great zone corner. He wasn't necessarily the best, ball skills in the air dude, but the dude was so tight on his man-to-man coverage, you just didn't want to throw the ball at him. His guys weren't open. and I hear that Greedy Williams has got all these